AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ
There you see the Japanese captain Eri Yamada leading things off. She had 2 hits against China yesterday. You'd have to struggle to look up and down the Japanese lineup to find a player who did not have multiple hits yesterday against the Chinese. All the bounces went against Teresa Wilson's team yesterday as well, though. This is not a matchup of teams for whom a 14-1 scoreline should be expected again. China just pipping Chinese Taipei and the Philippines on run differential in the head-to-head matchups between those 3 teams only. We got some bad information yesterday, thinking it was run differential across the entire group stage. China just getting the tie break, and it gives them 2 chances to advance to the gold medal game. If they can upset Japan here, or if they can defeat either Chinese Taipei or the Philippines in the morning game tomorrow. The bronze medal game, the preliminary final, if you will, taking place at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in Jakarta. That's GMT +7. And the Japanese lineup continuing to be introduced. It's mostly the same lineup that faced China in yesterday's game, the one exception being Yamato Fujita coming in as the designated player, batting 6th instead of Nozomi Nagasaki. China making 2 changes themselves. Xu Qianwen getting only her 3rd appearance of the tournament, batting 7th in right field, and Bei Wang, who has previously only been a pinch hitter in this competition, she is in the number 8 spot for Teresa Wilson. That's the Japanese coach, Raika Utsugi, and the Japanese coaching staff last to take the field right by the 3rd base bag. This field has been watered and prepared as best as it can be for this first knockout stage game, playoff stage game, if you will. Neither of these 2 teams can be knocked out of the tournament right now. That will be true, however, of the Philippines and Chinese Taipei later on. Our 4 umpires for this key semifinal quote-unquote game. Jo Bo-yeon, the Korean, will be behind home plate calling the balls and strikes. Lin Soo-young, the Chinese Taipei umpire at first base. Ruli Ronaldi Andrianto from Indonesia at second base. And the excellent Filipino umpire Paulo Martinez Tabirara gets the duties as the 3rd base umpire for this game. Both teams turning out to center field. The 2 national anthems up next. The Chinese anthem and then the Japanese anthem, just about bringing the preliminary elements of this game to a conclusion. All that remains is for the ceremonial handshake, and then the 2 teams going to their respective dugouts as we get ready for this page playoff game, the top two seeds from the group stage. It's an unusual format we've been mentioning throughout this tournament. It's basically only softball and curling that use this playoff system. Australian rules football uses a variant on it, with 8 teams advancing to a final stage. But let's look at the Chinese batting order. Li Qi, Li Huan, and Ren Min, the first 3 due up for China. Same top 3 that they've had for most of their games in this tournament. Shi Kai Lin, the catcher, batting 4th. Chen Jia, center fielder, batting 5th. Xu Jia at first, batting 6th. Then the 2 replacements, Xu Chanwen and Wang Bei, batting 7th and 8th, followed by Liu Yining at the bottom of the Chinese batting order. Your graphic there says that Yamato Fujita is pitching. We were told the official lineup sheet that we have says that it's Yukiko Ueno pitching. We've been told it's Zhao Xinxing who is starting in the pitching circle for China, but it is in fact Fujita on the pitching rubber right now for Japan. So possibly a late change here from Japanese coach Utsugi, mirroring a similar change that was made yesterday by Teresa Wilson for China late on, with Wang Lan scheduled to start the group stage game between these two teams, only to be replaced by Zhao Xinxing. That is definitely Yamato Fujita. We'll have to wait and confirm who the designated player is. She had been listed in the DP spot in the lineup that was given to us. According to the updated lineup we've been given, there's not a designated player for Japan in this game, which is very unusual. I think it's the first time in this entire tournament that neither team has deployed a DP. Once you start without a designated player or without a flex position player, you can't add one to the game. So interesting tactical move by Raika Utsugi. And China, the visiting team, will bat in the first half inning of each inning. And Li Qi, the left-handed slap hitter for the People's Republic of China, in the batter's box, ready to face the first pitch of this 1 versus 2 game from Yamato. It's grounded right back up the box. 1 pitch, 1 out. Fujita to the first baseman, Natsuko Sugama. Perfect start for Fujita and Japan. Brings up Li Huan. Li 4 for 14 in the tournament thus far. Takes ball 1 outside. Li 0 for 2 with an error at short in yesterday's game against Japan. Check swing. I think she refrained from going around. Called to the third base umpire. Tabirara confirms that decision. Li ahead in the count, 2-0. And the pitch. Fisted over the head of the third baseman, Yu Yamamoto, for Japan, but foul. So that just counts as a strike if you're joining this tournament for the first time. As we get to the key games in the competition, we'll try and refresh your softball rules memory. 2 balls, 1 strike the count. Pitch from Fujita is high, ball 3. Armpit height is basically the top of the strike zone, and it goes down roughly to the knees. Down low, but different umpires can call things differently. 3-1 pitch, that's lifted to right, deep and over the head of Misato Kawano into second base, and rounding over to third. The throw is wide, and a triple for Li Huan, the shortstop. No respect given to her power potential by the Japanese outfield. Perfect contact over the head of Kawano. And the first potential run of this game, 60 feet away on the base paths, in the form of Li Huan. Took that 3-1 pitch and spanked it out to the right field wall. So here is Ren Min, 4 for 12 in the tournament. Takes a called strike one. Ren 0 for 2 with the strikeouts yesterday against the Japanese. Infield in for Japan. They want to keep this run off the scoreboard. The ball dribbled down to the first baseman. The tag play is made, and holding at third base is Lee. So that's not a productive out for China. Li Huan didn't know whether to stick or twist at third base. So it's up to Shi Kai-lin, Chinese catcher, to try and drive this opening run home. Back up the middle. Play for the second baseman Ichiguchi. Over to Sugama at first for the third out. So the triple by Lee wasted by China. One runner stranded as we go to the bottom half of the first inning. China no score. Japan coming up. There is the Japanese batting order. The only change from yesterday's game against China, that of the designated player, Yamato Fujita, taking the DP position out of the game here for Japan. She's in the number 6 spots. It's Yamada, Ichiguchi, and Yamazaki. The first 3 batters due up here in the bottom of the first. And they will be facing the same pitcher that Japan faced yesterday. Zhao Qinxing did not have a good game, it's fair to say. Her line, 5 innings pitched, 13 hits, 12 runs, of which 10 were earned. 3 strikeouts, but also a wild pitch and 2 home runs conceded to the Japanese. There you see her stats for the tournament. Her ERA, earned run average, was under 1 prior to yesterday's game. It skyrocketed to nearly 4.5. That means she's averaged conceding 4.5 runs per full 7-inning game. Those are earned runs, runs in which a fielding mistake did not directly lead to the run being scored. So giving up a few more runs than that, as Japan, their captain Eri Yamada, who is 5 for 13 in this tournament, takes strike one from Zhao. Yamada's biggest moment of the tournament, the grand slam home run she had against the Philippines. Bases loaded when she hit the ball over the wall. Pokes this one down to the second baseman, who can't find the hand of Li Chi. That may go down as an error, although in truth, the first baseman, Xu Jia, went for that ball, and because she did, she wasn't anywhere near the first base bag. Even if the ball had been collected cleanly, it would have been a difficult play for Xu to scramble back. Corner infielders coming in, playing the bunt. It's laid down, the throw on to first, so that's a reverse of the combination that didn't work for Yamada. Ichiguchi, the sacrifice bunt, fielded by Xu, and thrown on to the second baseman, Lee, covering at first. And on the sacrifice, it doesn't count as an official at bat against Ichiguchi. So she retains her 5 for 9 batting performance in the competition. Yamada at second base with 1 out. And up comes Isaki Yamazaki. 2 for 3 with a 3-run home run, 3 runs scored, 3 runs batted in yesterday against the Chinese. Off-speed pitch, Yamazaki ahead of that one, fouling it out of the park. I've got Yamazaki at 5 for 8 in the tournament. Sometimes my stats not quite in line with the official statistics displayed on your screen. I've been here for most of the tournament. Have missed a few games here and there where I wasn't keeping direct score, but using the official tournament stats for those to catch up. Statistics such an integral part of both baseball and softball. As this pitch outside the strike zone. Count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Yamazaki. Yamada, the runner at second. The 2-2 pitch is fouled off. No Filipino or Taiwanese players on either of the 2 practice fields at the GBK softball facility just yet. But they will be taking their positions probably in about an hour's time ahead of the 6 p.m. start. 2-2 pitch is poked into right field. That will fall for a hit. Rounding third is Yamada. She will score without a throw as the ball mishandled in right field by Xu Qianwen. Definitely an RBI single for Yamazaki. Whether it's an RBI double, it may go down as another error in right by Xu. Watch her come across. Didn't see it there. Brief pause on the base paths for Yamada. I'm going to chalk that down as an error by the right fielder Xu. As that changeup in over the zone to Yu Yamamoto. Runner in scoring position is Yamazaki with only 1 out. The Japanese juggernaut offensively continues against China. This ball, though, weakly hit to the shortstop. Lee onto first, and Xu Jia for the out. Li Huan, good play, ranging to her left at shortstop. The fielder, I beg your pardon, the base runner, Yamazaki, advancing to third on the play. As you see the view from the camera mounted on the mask of Joe Boyan, the home plate umpire. Zhao working quickly. First pitch to Misato Kawano, in for a strike. Kawano 8 for 11 in the tournament. A home run. So many RBIs you can hardly count them at this point. She has 13 runs batted in 5 games played. Kana even 1-1 with the ball from Zhao Xinxing. 7 on the pitch clock as she winds and fires. This ball skied into shallow left. Back goes the shortstop, in fact. It is Li Huan making the catch. And Japan done in their half of the first inning. They score 1. They leave 1 man on. And we go to the second. 1-0 for Japan over China. The tall skyscrapers of the Central Business District in Jakarta, the Indonesian capital, just beyond the right field foul pole in the competition softball field, where all the games in this softball tournament have taken place. Strike 1 at the knees to Chen Jia. The baseball tournament, which starts on Sunday will feature 2 different fields. The ball back up the middle. Great play, diving to her right. The throw to first in time. Scooped up by Sugama. Yuka Ichiguchi, full stretch. Pulling that ball back from the turf of the outfield to make the first out of the second inning. And what a beautiful play it was. That may be the best defensive stop in the entire tournament right there. from Ichiguchi. Yesterday in this game between these two teams, it was the shortstop Mana Atsumi who sparkled for Japan. But here it's Ichiguchi laying out and robbing Chen-Jia of a hit as Shu-Jia is up. Takes a ball outside, count now 1-1. Fujita working quickly. This pitch turned on but hit foul by Shu. Shu, an excellent performer for China in this competition. 6 for 11 with a home run and 2 walks. 1-2 pitch, just nicked foul. Goes back to the screen. If that had been caught by the catcher Haruka Agatsuma, Shu would have been out, but instead the count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fujita winds, kicks, fires into the dirt, ball 2. Incidentally, that hit for Yamazaki in the first ruled a double, just the 1 error assessed to the Chinese in the first inning of this game. As now Fujita ready for the 2-2. On the way, changeup, fooling Shu-Jia way out in front of that. Swinging strike 3 gives Fujita her first strikeout of the game, 2 away. As you see from the umpire's perspective how far in front of that pitch Shu was. And it's Xu Qianwen, the right fielder, in the 7th spot for China at the plate, taking well outside for ball 1. Xu had a hit in her only official at bat against Indonesia, and 0 for 1 against Hong Kong, but with 2 runs scored in that 10-0 win for China. Ball off the plate, count goes 2-0 on Xu Qianwen. Suo is taken for a strike inside part of the plate, found by Fujita there. Hitters count 2-1. Ball sliced, just foul down the first base line. Xu was already around first, heading for second when she realized that that ball had not landed fair. Just slightly behind, making contact. That ball pitching only a foot and a half outside the line. All it has to do is touch the line to be in fair territory. Now the 2-2 pitch, another changeup dribbled weakly to the shortstop Atsumi onto first, and Sugama for the out. And it's a 1-2-3 top of the second inning for Yamato Fujita. Japan still the 1-0 lead as their 6, 7, and 8 hitters due up in the bottom half of the second inning. Ever since the Asian Games softball tournament moved to the Page playoff format in 1998, Japan has been involved in the 1-versus-2 game in every competition. And she's won all but one of those games, that being back in 1998 in Bangkok, where China, the second seed from the round robin stage, managed to upset Japan by 2-1 and went on to beat Japan again in the grand final 5-0. But since then, it's been all Japan in this tournament. They've won 4 gold medals in a row and strongly favored to make it 5 on the spin here, as you see this pitch just finding the outside corner to Yamato Fujita. Zhao now behind Fujita 2-1. The pitcher for Japan. Not terribly common in international softball for the pitcher to hit for herself. That changeup not caught by the catcher Shi Kai-lin. And because of that, no chance to frame it for a possible strike over the outside corner. The call, a ball from home plate umpire Joe Boyan. 3-1 the count to Fujita, the leadoff hitter for Japan in the bottom half of the second inning. The pitch. That's over the outside corner at the knees for strike 2. Fujita only 1 for 3 at the plate, but that one hit was a 2-run home run against the Philippines. And the 3-2 pitch is high and away, ball 4. So Fujita will get to run the bases. Second straight inning in which the leadoff hitter for Japan has reached base. And tactical time perhaps for Raika Utsugi standing there in the third base coach's box as you see Teresa Wilson behind the cage in the Chinese dugout. First pitch to Sugama. He's outside for ball 1. Natsuko Sugama 3 for 12. Had a home run yesterday, her only hit against China in the previous matchup in this tournament between these two teams. Zhao again the pitch. Swung a hit to the third baseman, but muffed, and the throw to first just in time. Wang Bei recovering in the field to fire across to Xu Jia and just get Sugama by half a step. This infield does not agree with the Chinese fielders, but that ball was hit so sharply that Wang had a chance to recover her equilibrium and fire to first. Fujita to second base on the fielder's choice as this ball is popped straight up. It'll be Wang again, this time with a catch to retire Agatsuma, first pitch swinging. So 2 defensive plays in a row made by Wang Bei, and the number 9 hitter Mana Atsumi, the Japanese shortstop, 2 for 9 in the tournament. Both of those hits coming yesterday against China. In a galaxy of star performances for Japan yesterday, Atsumi's was one of the brightest. Not just the 2 hits, but her 6 assists at first base, or at shortstop, I should say. All of those plays fired across to the first baseman Sugama. 1-1 the count now on Atsumi. Had been 0 for 5 batting before yesterday's game. Takes just inside there for ball 2. Atsumi, a .345 batting average in the recent World Championships on home turf in Chiba in Japan. This pitch fought off, fouled away for strike 2. Atsumi with 10 hits in 29 plate appearances, including a triple. And she put some good charges into her hits yesterday as this ball sliced down the left field foul line. It's twisting foul, too far away from the left fielder Liu Yining to make the play. Count stays 2 balls and 2 strikes as Zhao Xinxing trying to work around the leadoff walk to Fujita. Wang, the third baseman, playing in. 2-2 pitch, poke to left, rushing on and not making the catch is Liu Yining. That will drive in the run. On to second goes Atsumi, and Japan leads 2-0. Again, not sure if that will be scored a hit or an error. A play that could certainly have been made by Liu Yining. Watch it again here. Opposite field strike. She was there. I think she should have made that catch. If it's an error, it's not a run batted in for Atsumi, who advanced to second. It's either an error or a double for the Japanese shortstop as we go back to the top of the Japanese order, and Yamada, who reached on an error herself. Li Qi, the second baseman, at fault for China, and Yamada scoring on Yamazaki's double. And Yamada ahead in the count here, 2-0. China cannot let Japan get out to a big lead in this game. They just don't have the horses to catch up. This pitch fought off and just wide of the Chinese third baseman, Wang Bei. It was Lu Ying at third base yesterday, but she had 3 errors in the game. I think that's reason number 1 why Teresa Wilson has sat her out from this contest. 2-1 pitch to Yamada. Up and in, ball 3. Yesterday, Japan only leading 1-0 with 2 outs in the top half of the 4th inning, but then the home run by Sugama, and then the 4-run 5th and the 8-run 6th as this hit into center field for a base hit. That's going to be a double and an RBI for Eri Yamada, and it's 3-0 for Japan. So Yamada now has an RBI and a run scored. Stroking that pitch into the right center field gap. So Atsuma home, and this pitch fouled off to the left by Yuka Ichiguchi. She sacrificed bunted back in the first, moving Yamada over to second. This pitch is sky to left. This should be an easy play for Liu Yining. Can't take anything for granted, but she does grasp that ball into her mitt. And that does end the Japanese second inning. 2 more runs crossing the plate against Zhao Xinxing. It's 3-0 for Japan after 2 complete innings in Jakarta. So just to clean up the Japanese half of the second inning, the ball hit by Mana Atsumi has been ruled a double, so she gets an RBI. Followed her teammate Fujita home on the double by Yamada. As now it's the number 8 hitter for China, Wang Bei, at the plate. Change up high from Fujita for ball 1. Wang has been a pinch hitter 4 times in the tournament. This is her first plate appearance as a starter. 0 for 3 previously with a walk. That against Indonesia. Now the 1-1 pitch, that's fouled away. Fujita may feel as though a 3-run lead is plenty here. When Japan and China last played in the Page 1 versus 2 playoff game at the Asian Games back in 2006 in Doha, Japan won by the score of 3-0. Winning pitcher on that occasion was Yukiko Ueno, who was scheduled to start this game here. That ball hit to the shortstop Atsumi. The long throw in time to Sugama to get Wang out. As much trouble as the Chinese infielders have had on this surface, no issues whatsoever for Atsumi. That hop coming up, but see how she stayed with it, lifting the glove up, even though she stopped it with her heel. Had the other hand right on it, fired to first. This ball blooped into right, on rushing right fielder Kawano making the grab on the bloop by Liu Yining. First pitch out for her. And 2 away for China in the third. And back to the top of the Chinese order, Li Qi grounded back to the pitcher Fujita in the first. Takes low and away for ball one here. Li Qi, a .419 batting average in the World Championships, but a second ground ball back to Fujita. The easy toss to first, and a very quick 1-2-3 inning for Fujita and Japan in the top half of the third inning. Heading to the bottom of the third at the GBK softball field, Japan still leading China by 3 runs to nothing. Mid-afternoon in Jakarta, 3:30 p.m. now. Half an hour into this page 1 versus 2 playoff game. And the first pitch to Saki Yamazaki with the music still blaring. Now it's been turned off. Strike 1 the count. Yamazaki the RBI double in the first, but swings over that pitch from Zhao Xinxing. The Philippines team players have just arrived and are watching this game from a perch high at the back of the stadium down the left field line. This young Filipino team, averaging under 22 years of age collectively, trying to soak up the experience, enjoy the atmosphere as the 1-2 pitch on the way just outside from Zhao to Yamazaki. Zhao, the 2-2. Yamazaki, that one is blooped on the left field line. It falls fair. That will go as a single for Yamazaki, who pulls up at first base. Yamazaki, a blast and a bloop in this game. The double back in the first inning, now followed by the rather weak single to left. But all hits count, and that's the third straight inning in which the Japanese leadoff hitter has reached base one way or another. One by hit, one by walk, one by error. Now the 1-0 pitch to Yu Yamamoto. She takes strike 1 over the outside corner. Yamamoto grounded to the shortstop Li Huan back in the first inning. Now 5 for 8 at the plate in this tournament. Zhao's pitch is drilled high, deep to left. Does it have the distance? Yes, it does. 2-run home run for Yu Yamamoto, her second of the tournament. And Japan continues to march forward against China. It's 5-0 in the home half of the third inning. Yamamoto now one of only 2 hitters with multiple home runs in this tournament, the other being the Taiwanese Chen Shi-ai. Both of Chen's home runs came against Korea in the Taiwanese opening game of the tournament. But this home run for Yamamoto coming at the sharp end of things. The valiant leap by Liu Yining, not tall enough to pull that ball back into the park. As Kawano now up. And it may be time for the Chinese to surrender this game. Not that they're going to stop trying, of course, but this may be part of the long-term view taken by Teresa Wilson as this ball dribbled to the first baseman. The flip neatly to the second baseman, Li Chi covering, but not in time, beating that play out. Kawano for the base hit. As Xu Jia at first decided she couldn't run to the bag herself quickly enough. Maybe Li Chi a little bit slow getting over. Tried her best, but the tie going to the runner there. And now first pitch swinging is Fujita, the pitcher, popping backwards and out of play. Just to finish that thought on Teresa Wilson's thinking, she may be saving her ace, Wang Lan, for a potential final rematch against Japan, or at least for the preliminary final tomorrow morning against the winner of the Philippines-Chinese Taipei match. 0-2 pitch to Fujita taken outside for ball one. I had a chance to chat with Teresa Wilson before the game. I asked her if Wang was going to start this one. She very dismissively said no, and that was that. Strike three, swinging through that pitch, Fujita. That ball up and away, but Fujita compelled to offer at it. And the first strikeout of this game for Zhao Xinxing. And this ball spins. Is it going to go foul? It does. From Sugama. That would have been a base hit. The lofted bunt, that's not how you teach the bunt play in the coaching manuals, and that is not what I would ever recommend any runner heading to first should do. There's a culture in both softball and baseball which seems to think that that's a hustle play, diving headfirst into first base. But it just slows you down. The friction from the dirt. Maybe if you could lunge and contact the bag directly, but she's so much slower getting to first base with a dive. As Sugama not showing bunt that time, nor this time. And that pitch inside, count now 2-1 to the Japanese first baseman. That dive looks good. It gives you a nice polish of dirt on the front of your uniform. Makes you look that little bit more intense maybe, but it's not a successful play as that ball hit down the third base line and fair. That'll only go for a single as the left fielder Liu was shading along towards the line in left. Kawano stops at second. Sugama at first with her first hit of the game. Wide turn taken at second by Kawano. Already 2 runs in the inning, still only 1 man out as Agatsuma, who popped to the third baseman in the previous half inning for Japan. Nice change up there. Agatsuma would have swung right through that pitch had she not checked her swing. That pitch, not sure where that missed. Kawano standing on second base, Sugama on first base, Agatsuma at the plate. Zhao Xinxing getting roughed up for the second day in a row by Japan as this bloop into left field. Back goes the shortstop and makes the catch, Li Huan. So 2 pop-up outs in the game for Haruka Agatsuma. And that brings up Atsumi, who had that line drive to left, which could have been caught but wasn't by Liu Yining. Led to Fujita scoring. First pitch to Atsumi is taken outside for ball one. That's the confirmation. The play scored a hit. So it's 3 hits against China between the 2 games for Atsumi. 1-0 pitch. That's lined directly to the third baseman Wang. Smart stab from her. Snags that ball out of the air. Hard hit ball by Atsumi. Results in the 3rd out for Japan, but they tack on 2 more runs on the 2-run home run by Yu Yamamoto. We go to the top half of the 4th inning. Japan in command. They lead China 5-0. The Japanese branded noisemakers in full display by the Japanese crowd here as you see Japanese pitching change. Yukari Hamamura, the workhorse of this Japanese pitching staff, back into action again. So Fujita, at least temporarily, her stint pitching is done. Hamamura has now worked with this appearance in 6 games of the 7 Japan have played in this tournament. A total of 21 innings pitched already for Hamamura. She's only 23 years old, the youngest of the 3 pitchers on the Japanese roster. But still, this is a heavy workload for her. As you see over at third base now is Minori Naito, the number 11 for Japan. So a couple of changes being made, and the official score is just confirming the situation. So I believe Kawano is moving across from right field to center field. Naito in at third base, replacing Yu Yamamoto. Hamamura on the mound, replacing Fujita. We should get there in the end momentarily here. Sometimes the language barrier can be impenetrable as well. So let's take a look at the substitution list that has come to me. Yuki Ichiguchi has also been replaced by Hitomi Kawabata for Japan at second base. We have Nodoko Harada into the game in left field, replacing Saki Yamazaki. Kawabata replacing Ichiguchi. Yamada out, as we mentioned, replaced by Nozomi Nagasaki, who I think has gone over to right field. finally just about ready. Might have missed 1 or 2 substitutions as well. Mana Atsumi has gone out as well, and Fujita has moved over to the shortstop position. So that explains that. The designated player staying in the game. This must have been part of Raika Atsugi's plan, assuming that Japan could take the lead against China. Foul ball off the screen. Hamamura delivering the pitch to Li Huan. The number 33 for China. She has the only hit, only base runner thus far for China in this game. She tripled in the first on a shot to deep right field and takes ball 2 bouncing off the plate. The pitch from Hamamura. Now the 2-1 rising out of the zone, ball 3. And ball 4 outside. Hamamura gets behind Li Huan and walks her on 5 pitches. So a promising start for China to the 4th. The beauty of the international softball rules from Utsugi's perspective there is that should China start to rally, they can bring the frontline troops back in. Starters can come back into the game once. It's not a rule if you're only familiar with baseball you might be aware of regarding softball, as Ren Min falls behind 0-1. She grounded to first and was tagged out back in the first when she had a chance to knock Li Huan in from third, failed to do so. Now the count 0-2 to Li, and that pitch well up and out of the zone for ball 1. Hamamura settles herself. The 1-2 pitch. Outside, ball 2. Plenty of noise in the Chinese dugout. That changeup pulled foul by Ren. Count stays 1 ball and 2 strikes. Quite a nice cooling breeze blowing across the diamond here in Jakarta. Blowing in from right center field, I would say. At least that's what it feels like from our commentary position here. And now the pitch. That's outside. It's ball 2, not ball 4. Graphic on the screen just getting ahead of the action here. So it's 2 balls, 2 strikes to Ren Min. Lee on it first. And the pitch. Strike 3. The runner goes to second. And in safely with the stolen base is Lee. So it's not a strike him out, throw him out double play. Is the second strikeout for Japanese pitching. First for Hamamura. But the throw bounced to the fielder covering second base by Agatsuma, the catcher. So for the second time in the game, Li Huan into scoring position with 1 out. Shi Kai-Lin at the plate. She grounded to the second baseman Ichiguchi to end the Chinese threat back in the first. Raika Atsugi. Do we have another substitution here? Number 5 for Japan is Yamamoto. Number 14 is Naito, but that change has already been made. Naito is in the game at third base. That's just confirming a substitution that I'm pretty positive had already been made. Naito's been out on the diamond since the start of this top half of the 4th inning. Hamamura with the runner at second base, one out for Shi Kai-lin. First pitch, just catching the corner. Ball looked to me a little bit off the plate, but signaled a strike by the Korean home plate umpire Jo Bo-yeon. And this pitch missing. I think that's ball 2. Not sure what to believe anymore. My own intuition, the scoreboard out in right center field, or the graphic on the screen. Often all three can be different. That pitch though low and away, and should be ball 3. If she reaches, Chen Jia waiting on deck. And that ball does miss up and away, and it is ball 4 to Shi, so she moves on to first base. Second walk in the inning for Hamamura. And out to confer with the Japanese pitcher is her battery mate, Agatsuma, the catcher. That's a softball and baseball term, the battery consisting of the pitcher and the catcher collectively. When you've got a big lead, the very last thing you want to do is start walking batters. You'd rather give up hits, make them beat you, don't beat yourself. As Chen with 2 on, the pitch, strike 1. That's more like it from Hamamura. Hamamura had not walked a single batter before this inning in this tournament. Again, she began the early evening, or late afternoon in Jakarta with 21 innings pitched and no walks conceded. Has had 1 wild pitch, that against the Philippines. Her only control-related blotch on her copybook. But she's ahead of Chen Jia, 0-2 the pitch. Just missing the corner. Umpire Joe has been giving the low strike at the corner, but the high strike not so much. And believe me, pitchers file these things away. The best ones know how to adjust their command. That one again just off the plate, trying to induce Chen to reach out for a pitch outside the zone. Didn't take the bait. Count even at 2-2, and a big pitch coming up to Chen, who, remember, hit that ground ball up the middle that Ichiguchi dove for and robbed her of a hit. Fouled back to the screen. Count stays 2-2 on Chen Jia. If China wants to rally, now is the time. Chen 5 for 15 now in this tournament, a .333 batting average. Hamamura looks in. Chen awaits the 2-2 pitch. Changeup is high, so ball 3. Hamamura mixes her speeds up very well. But she needs to find the zone here. She was ahead of Chen, 0-2. Now the full count to the Chinese center fielder. 3-2 pitch from Hamamura is blooped and made. Catch made by Kawabata at second base. Second time in the game that Chen has hit the ball to the Japanese second baseman. This time it's Kawabata. So the runner's forced to stay at first and second. Two outs, and Shu Jia is at the plate. I believe that Shi Kai-lin has been replaced by Chen Jia at first base with the temporary runner rule coming into effect. Shu struck out swinging in the first, but she's ahead in the count here, 1-0. Hamamura battling. The pitch. That catches the corner. That looks further outside than one of the balls that was called earlier in this inning by home plate umpire Joe. No electronic umpires in Major League Baseball yet. Certainly a long way from that happening. Pitch tracking software in international softball. Now home plate umpire Joe conferring with one of the tournament officials here about something. Again, I think just making sure that the score sheets have been updated with the correct substitution information. Chen Jia pinch running at first. Li Huan at second. Pitch outside the zone here to Xu. Scoreboard says 1 ball 2 strikes, as did the graphic here. That pitch is grounded back up the middle. Tough hop, but gathered nicely by Kawabata at second, and onto the first baseman Sugama to end the top half of the 4th inning. China threatens but strands 2 runners, and Japan still in command. The lead 5-0 after 3.5 innings in this page 1 against 2 playoff stage match in the 2018 Asian Games softball tournament. Teresa Wilson, the Chinese head coach, matching her Japanese counterpart in making a pitching change. Fujita threw 3 innings for Japan before being replaced by Hamamura. And now Zhao Xin-Shing pitching 3 innings before being yanked in favor of Chai Yinan. Chai came on in relief of Zhao yesterday and gave up 2 earned runs to Japan in her only inning of work. 2 hits and a wild pitch against her as well. For Zhao, temporarily closed the book at least. 3 innings pitched, 5 runs on 7 hits, 1 walk and a strikeout. And the first pitch to Nozomi Nagasaki, replacing Eri Yamada at the top of the Japanese batting order. Unfortunately, our official score sheets, scoring software is down at the venue here in Jakarta. So a little bit of guesswork involved in keeping everyone straight on the score sheet and informing you of the changes at home. But it's definitely Nozomi Nagasaki. 5 hits for her in this tournament, but she's behind 1 and 2. Nearly reaches out to that outside offering from Chai. Checked down to the third base umpire, but clearly did not go around in Nagasaki. Count even now, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hitomi Kawabata on deck, having replaced Ichiguchi at second. And she'll be on or up at the plate with nobody on, thanks to that nice line drive catch by Xu Jia at first. So Nagasaki 0 for 1 with a bullet. And that brings up Kawabata. Take strike 1. And this pitch is golfed to fairly deep left, but back under it is Liu to make the second out of the inning. 2 quick outs for Chai Yinan. Kawabata driving that pitch to the opposite field. Not quite getting enough of it or directing it wide of Liu Yining to trouble the Chinese outfield. And Nodoka Harada now her first at bat of the game. Harada 3 hits in the tournament thus far. Taking a strike at the knees from Chai, working well and working quickly here. Chai, the 0-2 pitch to Harada, just missing outside for ball 1. Chai's only previous work prior to yesterday was against Hong Kong, getting 2 outs consecutively on in relief. This pitch is low from Chai. Ball 2 now. See the stats for Harada. Pinch hitting in each of the 2 previous games for Japan. And this pitch weakly back to the pitcher. Chai on to first. And a 1-2-3 inning. First such instance for Japan in this game. We have finished 4 full innings in this page 1 versus 2 playoff game. China trailing 5-0. Can they get something going in the top half of the 5th? Music continuing here as we head to the top of the 5th inning. During the playoffs of this softball tournament, after 4 innings, the grounds crew coming on to perform a few running repairs, remarking the batter's boxes at home plate. And they have finished their work. But the work of Yukari Hamamura is never done for Japan. By far the most innings pitched of any pitcher in this tournament. Very impressed by the job that the maintenance crew, the grounds crew for this GBK softball field has done in leveling out the front of the pitching circle. It's a hopeless and pretty thankless task with all of the lunging forward by the pitchers, the potholes they leave behind. But every day after every game they come out and do their best to level things. And Hamamura now comfortable and ready to start the top of the 5th. Leading off for China is Xu Qianwen. And Xu takes ball 1 just outside. Xu grounded to the shortstop Atsumi back in the second inning. Now the 2-0 count to Shu. Japan in the 14-1 win over China yesterday struck late. And it wasn't until the sixth inning when Japan had 8 runs on 8 hits and a Chinese error that China's hopes were well and truly dashed, as Shu taking all the way 3-0, count now 3-1. And this pitch dribbled to the third baseman. That's Naito on to first and Sugama for the first out of the top of the fifth. Routine play for the Japanese third baseman. That pitch well inside. Could have been ball 4. It's not good plate discipline from Shu. Could have been the third walk of the game for Hamamura, but instead Wang Bei up with nobody on and 1 out. Wang Bei also grounded to the shortstop when she batted on her previous occasion in the top of the third. Foul ball makes the count 1-1. Wang only 7 at-bats in the World Championships. They'd have a pair of hits, score a pair of runs, but not heavily used by Teresa Wilson. Swings through that pitch from Hamamura. She's behind 1-2. Japan has only really been tested once in this tournament thus far, that by Chinese Taipei in their second game. Japan led 3-0 going into the bottom half of the 7th inning, but Chinese Taipei got one run home and got the potential winning run to the plate with nobody out, but they failed to score again. This foul ball into the crowd. Oh, on a drop by one of the softball Asia officials in the tan shirts. I'm still pretty sure that I'm the only person in this stadium to have caught a foul ball in this entire tournament thus far. That pitch grounded to the second baseman. Li Chi on to first, and Shu Jia. I'll beg your pardon, I'm looking at the wrong team lineup. That's Kawabata to Sugama as Wang Bei retired. It's a 4-3 out, either way you slice it. See the anticipation by Kawabata moving across first, setting herself, guarding against any bad hops. Easy enough play in the end, and 2 away for Liu Yining, the Chinese left fielder who has not quite shone defensively here tonight, dropping the potential third out in the second inning, which was scored a double to Atsumi for Japan. Flight out to right in her only previous at bat back in the third inning. This game appears to be one-way traffic, but certainly our next game at 6 p.m. figures to be a barn burner if it's anywhere near as good as the contest between the same two teams, Philippines and Chinese Taipei yesterday. I need to look up the origin of the word barn burner, come to think of it. Do you really want to burn the barn down? Is that a good thing? That's how it's used when you're talking about a sporting contest. The 1-2 from Hamamura, fought off and fouled back into the practice field. One-two pitch coming up to Liu Yining. That's outside. I'm told that the meaning of barn burner, according to Merriam-Webster, is that There was a story of an old Dutchman who relieved himself of rats by burning the barns which they infested. Who knew? That ball out to the shortstop. Tough play, but made by Fujita. Started as a pitcher and showing her stuff at shortstop. So a 1-2-3 inning for Hamamura, and China still struggling offensively against Japan in this tournament. Only the one run so far in 11 innings. They trail the Japanese 5-0 here in the playoff stage. Bottom of the fifth inning coming up, and it is Minori Naito into the game at third base, replacing the home run hitter Yu Yamamoto, who launched a towering blast to left field, two-run home run for Japan in the third. 0-1 pitch also taken for a strike by Naito. Chai Yinan will be feeling much more confident thus far in this game than she was after one inning of work yesterday against Japan. Trying to buy the outside strike call, but cannot do so here. Naito staying alive, 1-2. Naito dodges that pitch in the dirt for ball two. Count now even. Naito 2 for 6 in the tournament, was hit by a pitch as a pinch hitter against Chinese Taipei, but the rest of her at bats coming against the lesser sides, Indonesia, Hong Kong, and Korea. 2-2 pitch. Strike three called, outside corner at the knees. First strikeout of the game for Chai. And that brings Misato Kawano up. Kawano started the game in right field, has moved across to center field now, taking strike one. Kawano popping to the shortstop in the first, but singling in the third. Takes a strike at the knees, so Chai Yinan in command. Kawano now 9 for 12 in the tournament, but behind in the count, and takes strike three called. So 2 strikeouts for Chai back-to-back. Both cases the batter failing to get the bat off the shoulder for the key strike three. Swinging and missing, or just ticking the ball, is Fujita. Looking for her second hit of the tournament. Walked and scored in the second, struck out swinging in the third. That was to Zhao Xinxing. And that ball just back to the pitcher, Chai, and on to first. Very quick 1-2-3 inning for Chai. So Chai has retired all 6 hitters she has faced. And we're through 5 innings complete now. Japan still leading 5-0. China due up in the top of the 6th. Standing back in the pitching circle is Yukari Hamamura, about to begin her third inning of work. And due up first is Li Qi in the top of the Chinese batting order. We believe there's been another defensive substitution with Sayori Yamauchi coming into the game, possibly in place of Minoru Naito. I think that is the case. Yamauchi, normally a catcher, but relieving Naito here, taking over at the hot corner, as it's called. Hamamura falling behind another Chinese hitter. This time it's Lee, who has grounded back to the pitcher in both of her first two at-bats. And Hamamura wayward again inside this time. 3-0 count to Li Qi. Should be taking all the way, you would think. Instead, grounds back to the pitcher again. Third ground ball back up the box. Interesting decision by Teresa Wilson to let Lee swing away. Or maybe she took matters into her own hands. Good fielding by Hamamura, so she dodges that bullet. One out in the top half of the sixth inning. Now Li Huan. Tripled and walked. And now fakes the bunt and takes strike one. And taking strike two. So the Japanese using three separate players at third base in this game: Yamamoto, Naito, and Yamauchi. The 0-2 pitch well up high. The NHK television crew from Japan working this game to my right. Their first time commentating on Japan in this tournament. 1-2 pitch in the dirt to Li Huan. I think they're struggling to keep up with all the Japanese substitutions as well. Certainly appears as though they will have the gold medal game to commentate upon if Japan hangs on to this 5-0 lead. Ground ball to the shortstop Fujita onto first. Again, Yamato Fujita. Pitcher turned shortstop. Good defensive play. And 2 outs for China in the sixth. Li Huan retired by Japanese pitching for the first time in this game. Ren Min standing in. Slices this pitch foul. Sure, Teresa Wilson wants these Chinese hitters to get as much exposure to the excellent Japanese pitchers as they can. That's why no subs used yet, apart from the temporary runner, which briefly saw Shi Kai-Lin exit the game. This pitch dribbled out to second base. Kawabata to first, and Sugama. 7 consecutive ground ball outs induced by Hamamura. Easy stuff for Japan right now. They are 3 outs away from the gold medal game. They lead 5-0. One more turn at bat coming up. If they can get 2 runs in the bottom of the sixth, that would end the game prematurely. Mercy rule could be invoked again, but let's see what happens. Back in a moment. The very effective Chinese pitcher Chai Yinan back for her third inning of work. First pitch is driven to the left center field gap and all the way to the wall. Sugama getting a double to start things for Japan here. Her second hit of the game. So the potential winning run at the plate in the form of Haruka Agatsuma. That ball scorched into the gap, fetched by the center fielder Chen Jia. The catcher Agatsuma popped up twice, once to third, once to short. Now 5 for 14 in the tournament. Ball one taken to Chai, who has just given up her first base runner, first hit against her in this game. So I need to correct something on our substitution parade. It's not Yamato Fujita at short. She has remained in the game as a designated player, but just batting. It's Kyoko Ishikawa who has made several outs at short. As this ball goes to the Chinese shortstop Li Huan. Nice throw to first Shu Jia, and out recorded with Sugama forced to stay at second base. As the number 9 spot comes up, it is Ishikawa coming to the plate. 2 for 3 against Hong Kong, her only positive offensive contributions, apart from coming in as a pinch runner yesterday against China and stealing a base and scoring. Adding the count 1-0. Sugama leading off second base, jumping ahead as the pitch delivered outside of the zone by Chai. Again, if Japan scores 2 runs in this inning, we won't have a 7th inning. That pitch finds the outside corner. Two-one pitch. Ishikawa just nicking that back to the screen. Chai battling from behind. From 2-0 to 2-2 here. Chai kicks and fires. That ball poked to the shortstop again. A room service hop for Lee. Long throw to first is safe. She double clutched. Needed to release that ball quickly. Might be scored a hit for Ishikawa. But that was a clear hesitation. Watch it again here. She didn't charge the ball. The double, triple pump. I think she was worried about the base runner. You've got to get the out there, surely. Ishikawa speeding up the line. So 2 on, 1 out for Nagasaki, her second plate appearance in this game. Lined out to the first baseman back in the 4th inning. So the winning run at first base. And strike taken, 0-2 to Nagasaki. Nagasaki replacing Eri Yamada, the Japanese captain, at the top of the batting order. And 14 of Japan's 17 players on their roster have now come into this game. Or 15, I should say, including the relief pitcher Hamamura. Yukiko Ueno, who was scheduled to start this game but did not. She is one of the players who hasn't come in. This ball straightaway center field, backing up. Chen Jia making the catch. A loud out by Nagasaki. So if Japan wants to end this game an inning early, it's up to Hitomi Kawabata. Excellent batting form, reaching out a bit. Didn't go with the pitch. Maybe that was her downfall there. When the pitch is out over the outside corner in that vicinity, you tend to have better results trying to hit the ball to the other half of the field. It's Kawabata who flied to deep left herself back in the fourth. Count now 1-1 on her. Kawabata did not play against China yesterday and hobbles away after fouling that pitch off of her leg. Harada 3 hits in the tournament. That was right off the knee, wasn't it? Look at it again. Ooh, that stings. Ice pack applied. Saki Yamazaki, who started the game batting third, is eligible to come back in to replace. Well, that's for Harada, beg your pardon. And Yuka Ichiguchi, starting second baseman, could replace Kawabata if Raika Atsugi wishes to, but standing in and fouling this pitch off into the seats. Again, a fan drops the ball. Come on, guys. So disappointing. Going to send every spectator in this game to the outfield after the game for some fielding drills. 1-2 pitch. That is crushed to right field, but good play over the shoulder. Shu Chan-wen reading that liner and extending this game into the 7th inning. Maybe the best defensive play by China in this game means that Japan strands 2 runners in the bottom half of the 6th. We go to the 7th, one last chance for China. They trail 5-0. Some Korean onlookers in the crowd. Their team's interest ceased in this tournament yesterday morning when they were throttled by the Japanese. Score of that game 10-0 after only 4 innings. Japan now crushing the hopes of China. It's Hamamura again pitching, and first pitch bounced up to Shi Kai-lin, who walked in the 4th, grounded to second in the 1st. China needs 5 runs to keep their hopes of advancing directly to the gold medal game alive here today. That pitch fouled off down the left field line. 1-1 count from Hamamura to Shi Kai-lin. Up and in. In the top half of the 6th inning, Hamamura fell behind the opening hitter, 3 balls and no strikes. Behind again here to Shi. Ball grounded. Another good fielding play by Yamauchi on to first in time. So the third baseman of the game for Japan, just as effective as the first 2. Yamauchi making a nice play, reaching down to her left. Right-handed thrower, you wear the glove on the non-throwing hand. The last 8 Chinese hitters have grounded to second, grounded to third, grounded to second, grounded to short, grounded to the pitcher, grounded to short, grounded to second, and grounded to third. And now it's Chen Jia. She lined softly to the second baseman in her previous at-bats, trying to break this string of ground ball outs induced by Hamamura, but she's behind in the count 0-2. Don't think she wants to strike out to end that streak. Takes just low for ball one. Pitchers love ground ball outs. It's a sign that they're keeping the ball down in the strike zone. It's hard to hit a home run on a pitch low. In fact, the school of thought, more and more hitting coaches, particularly in baseball, are trying to teach young batters to get underneath the ball. More good things can happen when you hit the ball in the air. 2-2 pitch. That's back up the box to the pitcher. Hamamura, the assist. 9 straight ground ball outs, and China only 1 out left. Xu Jia coming to the plate, their last hope. China will still have another chance tomorrow morning to qualify for the gold medal game in this tournament should they lose here. As Hamamura, 3 2/3 innings pitched, and this ball is in the air to the right fielder. Nagasaki makes the play, and Japan through to the gold medal game at the 2018 Asian Games softball tournament. A comfortable win throughout. China in the top half of the first got the 1-out triple from Li Huan. Couldn't get her home. Japan struck with 1 in the first, 2 in the second, and 2 in the third on the 2-run home run by Yu Yamamoto. And that enough to secure Japan no worse than second place in this Asian Games softball competition. China can take solace in the fact that at least they sent this game the distance and only gave up 5 runs to Japan instead of 14. But small crumbs of comfort that will feel to Teresa Wilson and the Chinese players, some of whom making fielding mistakes in this game. On the other hand, Japan, that was Ichiguchi with the standout defensive play for them. There's the liner that could not be caught by Liu Yining. And China kept going, but they could not break down the Japanese defensive wall. Ground ball out after ground ball out induced by Hamamura. And the triple clutching of the ball there by Li Huan at short. As you see there, the 2-run home run for Japan by Yu Yamamoto, her second of the tournament, one of only 2 players with multiple home runs, and in fact the first player with home runs in more than 1 game, as Chen Chi-ai, the Taiwanese player, got both of her home runs in 1 game against Korea. So Japan is through. China must play tomorrow morning against the winner of our next game at 6 p.m. The Philippines and Chinese Taipei will do battle. The loser goes home. The winner guaranteed at least a bronze and a date tomorrow morning against China. I'm Darren Kilfair. Thanks for being with us. We will be commentating on every softball game from here on out. So join us again in about an hour and a half for the Philippines against Chinese Taipei.
AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ